Nyira stepped off the plane, the humid Caribbean air hitting her like a wall. Barbados was nothing like Kigali, the colors more vivid, the rhythms louder, the smiles easier. As a nursing intern from Rwanda, she believed in science, in medicine proven by studies and textbooks. But here, in this sun-drenched paradise, whispers of ancient healing lingered in the salty breeze. Her first assignment was at a local clinic, but her curiosity dragged her beyond sterile walls, towards the vibrant streets pulsing with secrets. That same evening, Nyira wandered into a market alive with spicy smells and chatter. Her eyes caught an old woman selling herbs, her hands weathered but steady. The herbalist's gaze was sharp, almost knowing. "You look like you've come seeking answers," the woman said, her voice low and compelling. Nyira frowned, internally debating the logic of this encounter. Yet something about the woman's calm confidence unsettled her rigid beliefs. That night, Nyira lay awake, the scent of salt water and sage swelling in her mind, stirring questions she hadn't expected.
The next day, Nyira found herself back at the market, drawn like a moth to flame. The herbalist introduced herself as Marva and invited Nyira to a small, fragrant hut near the beach. Inside, dried leaves hung from the ceiling, and jars of mysterious roots lined the shelves. Marva spoke of healing not just bodies but souls, of cures hidden in nature and whispered from ancestors. Nyira challenged her, citing science, insisting that healing came from evidence, not stories. Marva smiled, a mix of amusement and sadness. "Sometimes, child, science cannot explain what the heart knows." Nyira's eyes narrowed, but something inside her shifted. Over the following days, Marva taught her to identify plants, to brew teas that soothed more than ailments. Nyira's skepticism fought with a growing fascination, but scandal brewed beneath the surface. Marva's healing was rumored to involve rituals that the church frowned upon, and locals whispered about broken marriages and forbidden affairs linked to her cures.
Nyira's clinical days were long, filled with sterile procedures and skeptical doctors. Yet, as the sun dipped low, she escaped to Marva's world, where science blurred into magic. One evening, as Marva applied a warm herbal poultice to Nyira's aching shoulder, their hands brushed. The electrical charge between them was undeniable. Nyira's heart raced, pushing against the strict boundaries she set for herself. Marva's eyes held a secret promise, a dangerous invitation. Rumors had warned her. Marva's charm was as potent as her herbs, and many had fallen under her spell, with consequences that shattered families and reputations. But Nyira felt the pull too strongly to resist. The scandal wasn't just in the herbs or the rituals, it was in the forbidden desire growing between student and teacher, the collision of worlds that shouldn't mix. Nyira's scientific armor cracked under the weight of something raw, wild, and intoxicating. As days passed, Nyira learned more than herbal remedies. Marva shares stories of Barbados' shadowed past, slavery, rebellion, and resilience woven into the island's soul. The scars beneath the paradise fascinated Nyira, mirroring her own scars from a brutal civil war back home. Marva's healing was not just physical, but a rebellion against erasure, a reclaiming of identity through roots and ritual. But the island's past was never far from present conflicts. Nyira overheard whispers of Marva's defiance against local authorities and religious leaders who wanted to silence her. Their battles were fierce, filled with threats and whispered warnings. Nyira felt caught between worlds. Her training urged her to denounce these superstitions, but her heart ached for the stories that Marva carried, stories that science couldn't touch. One stormy night, the scandal exploded. A prominent local politician's wife, rumored to have sought Marva's forbidden cure for infertility, confronted Nyira at the clinic. Accusations flew. Nyira was complicit in spreading dangerous ideas, undermining medical authority. The clinic director demanded she cease all contact with Marva or face termination. Nyira's world span. Her career, her beliefs, and her heart were at war. Marva urged Nyira to trust the healing that bridged worlds, but the nursing intern felt trapped, torn between duty and desire, science and spirit. The scandal had made her a target, and the island's shadows closed in. Yet in that darkness, Nyira realized that healing was not just about cures. It was about courage to embrace the unknown, even if it meant risking everything. Driven by desperation and something deeper, Nyira agreed to undergo Marva's most secret ritual, the saltwater cure, a cleansing said to wash away pain and open the heart. They met at the rocky shore under a full moon, salt spray stinging their skin. The ritual was raw, primal, chanting, herbs, and the cold embrace of the sea. Nyira's mind screamed with doubt, but her body surrendered to the moment's power. Emerging from the water, something inside her shifted. The pain she carried of war, exile, and loneliness felt lighter, mingled with a fierce new hope. The scandalous ritual had cracked her scientific shell, leaving her vulnerable but alive. Marva's eyes shone with pride and something softer, an unspoken bond forged in salt and secrets. The line between teacher and student blurred as passion ignited. Their stolen moments were electric, a scandal waiting to explode in the island's tight-knit community. Nyira knew the risks. Whispers would spread, reputations would be destroyed, and her future jeopardized, but love, as unpredictable as the Caribbean tides, swept her away. Their affair was a tapestry of desire and tension, woven with stolen kisses in hidden coves and whispered promises beneath starry skies. Nyira wrestled with guilt and longing, caught between two worlds that refused to coexist peacefully. The scandal was no longer just about healing. It was about heartbeats racing in forbidden harmony. Word of their relationship leaked, igniting outrage. The church condemned Marva's practices as witchcraft, and the clinic distanced itself from Nyira. The island's gossip mill churned mercilessly, painting Nyira as a reckless outsider corrupted by local superstition. Friends turned cold, colleagues whispered behind closed doors, and Marva faced threats that cut deeper than any herb's sting. But Nyira stood firm, her heart and mind intertwined in a rebellion against judgment. She realized that healing meant more than medicine or love. It meant fighting for a truth that didn't fit neatly into textbooks or sermons. The island's reckoning was harsh, but it forced her to confront who she was and what she was willing to risk. In the aftermath, Nyira's internship ended, but her journey had just begun. She chose to stay on the island, blending her nursing knowledge with Marva's ancient wisdom. Together, they created a small clinic where science and tradition walked hand in hand, healing bodies and souls alike. Their scandalous story became a legend whispered among the palms, a tale of courage, passion, and the saltwater cure that broke barriers. Nyira learned that healing transcended borders, not just between countries but between hearts and beliefs. The island had changed her, and she had changed it in return. Years later, Nyira stood on the beach where it all began, the sun rising over the turquoise horizon. She was no longer just a nursing intern or a skeptic. She was a healer, a bridge between worlds. Marva's legacy lived on in her hands, in the herbs she tended, and in the love that had dared to bloom amid scandal. The saltwater cure was more than a ritual. It was a symbol of transformation, a reminder that sometimes the deepest healing comes from surrendering to the tides of life. Nyira smiled, the salty breeze carrying whispers of the past and promises of the future. In this island paradise, she had found her truth, and her heart had finally come home. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.